In other news now, and as Israel prepares a response to Iran's missile strike last week and intensifies its operations against the Hezbollah, the US President Joe Biden has urged Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to minimize harm to civilians in Lebanon. The leaders held a phone call that lasted about 30 minutes. The White House says the call was direct and very productive, adding that Biden and Netanyahu have also agreed to stay in close contact in coming days. The US has asserted that they cannot and will not see Lebanon turn into another Gaza. This, even as President Biden reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself. This call was further their first in nearly 2 months, and it came amid mounting pressure from Washington for Israel to not strike Iran's oil or nuclear facilities. But Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has meanwhile promised that an Israeli strike against Iran will be lethal, precise and surprising. Gallant was due to discuss Israel's response in Washington on Wednesday before the last-minute postponement of his visit by Netanyahu. After the Biden-Netanyahu call ended, Gallant issued a video statement describing Iran's October 1st missile attack as a failure. The defense minister warned whoever attacks Israel will be hurt and will pay the price.
Now you've seen the attacks that the Iranians attacked us a short while ago. These attacks were aggressive, but they failed because they weren't accurate attacks. Just as we have been doing until now in the war on all other fronts, whoever attacks us will be hurt and will pay a price. Our attack will be deadly, precise, and above all surprising. They will not understand what happened and how it happened. They will see the results.
As repeated threats reinforce fears that Israel and Hezbollah are on the verge of an all-out war, the U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller has said that implementation of the UNSC Resolution 1701 is a priority for the United States. At a time of heightened tension, the UN and diplomatic officials have all turned to the 2006 resolution in a bid to end the conflict.
To be clear, when we say that we want to see 1701 implemented, that includes all the provisions of 1701. It doesn't just mean the provisions that apply to Hezbollah. It means Israel withdrawing south of the blue line as well. We want to see every provision implemented.
The United Nations officials have warned that Lebanon is staring at a catastrophic humanitarian crisis as the number of internally displaced people has hit 600,000. Hezbollah has said its fighters are locked in clashes with Israeli troops in southern Lebanon, using rocket-propelled weapons to repel Israeli attempts to breach the border. Meanwhile, the IDF has announced the death of the reserve soldier Ronnie Ganizet during operations in southern Lebanon. Ganizet is the 12th Israeli soldier killed in the ground offensive against Hezbollah. And according to the IDF, this raises the total death toll of soldiers killed since October 7th last year to 731. And for more on this, we asked our correspondent Jody Cohen, who is reporting from Israel, about what transpired in this phone conversation between Biden and Netanyahu.
The purpose of the call was reportedly to discuss Israel's response to Iran's missile attack, as well as fighting against Iranian proxies Hamas and Hezbollah. But the White House readout of the call doesn't give us clues on what was said specifically about Iran. It just said that President Biden affirmed his ironclad commitment to Israel's security and condemned Iran's attack unequivocally. Now, we know that President Biden is against Israel targeting Iran's oil or nuclear program, even though there are concerns that Iran's nuclear program exceeds civilian purposes. Israeli Defense Minister Gallant said that when Israel strikes Iran, it won't understand what happened or how, saying that the entire chain of command in Israel is in line and focused on this issue. But there's no indication about what Israel might do. Some commentators suggest that Israel could target Iran's nuclear or oil or military sites or the leadership of the IRGC. There's also no indication of the timing of Israel's counteroffensive, but President Biden said that he would remain in close contact with Netanyahu, and their national security teams would remain in contact over the coming days.
We also asked Jody about the ground update on the Israel-Lebanon border situation. Take a look.
So in the latest, the Israel Air Force said that they killed 2 Hezbollah commanders in South Lebanon, and the IDF is striking Hezbollah weapons stores in South Lebanon and Beirut. Now, that's why you often see visuals of a strike in Lebanon, which is followed up with other blasts, and they sometimes look like fireworks, with their weapons or ammunitions exploding. The IDF also said that they gave advance warning to civilians to evacuate before striking. Now, on Wednesday afternoon, 2 Israelis were killed in Kiryat Shmona while walking their dogs, and 5 were injured in Haifa in Hezbollah strikes. In the call between Biden and Netanyahu, Biden affirmed Israel's right to defend its citizens against Hezbollah, while stressing the need to minimise civilian casualties and for a diplomatic agreement between Hezbollah and Israel so that citizens on both sides of the border can return to their homes. Interestingly, Netanyahu's office also confirmed that he had spoken with President Trump last week and said that Trump congratulated Netanyahu on what he called the intense and determined operations against Hezbollah.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.